It's kind of crazy to think that Borderlands 1 came out 10 years ago at this point, and I say that because I didn't really actually realize it. It wasn't until they announced the remaster of Borderlands 1, Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, that I had looked and seen that it was 10 years. And I guess it does feel like that amount of time has passed, but it still kind of blows my mind. But I'm not here really to talk about the history of Borderlands or anything. I'm mainly here to come and talk about the Game of the Year edition that relaunched, otherwise known as the Borderlands 1 Remaster. And does it live up to the standards of the original game? And I'm here to tell you it mostly does. It's not perfect by any means, but it definitely rekindles that Borderlands flame for me that I feel has been kind of gone for a little bit. And I say that as someone who has played Borderlands 2 for a stupid amount of hours and just, I don't know, there's something lacking in it. And it's hard to pinpoint what it is, but going back to Borderlands 1 and replaying it just feels really nice. But enough about that, let's dive right into this and see if the Borderlands 1 Remastered Game of the Year Edition is worth picking up. As far as my knowledge is aware, Borderlands 1 is the origin of looter shooter. It takes the loot system from Diablo and puts it into a first-person shooter game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, this is the first game to do it, and it is the only game that I'm aware of to do it 100% right. Now, in today's day and age, you have your Destinies and your Anthems with your slightly maybe randomized guns, but they're mostly static guns that are in-engine and designed, and you can just go into the files and see what gun it is. Borderlands has a randomized gun generator where it takes every model, every element, every weapon type, and it just randomizes every one of these different mechanics, and it rolls its own special gun almost every time. Now, there is static guns in game. There is guns you can earn from bosses, which are always named the same, with depending on your playthrough and level and when you killed the boss, that it will still roll different numbers. But for the most part, Borderlands guns are 99.99% random. It's all procedurally generated, and that's why a big part of the advertisement was over 1 bazillion guns. To give you a simplified idea of how Borderlands guns works, here's a little graph that'll just kind of float by the screen. It is a stupid amount of guns. Now, here's an unsimplified version for the people out there that want to tell me that there are static guns and gear that are better than the randomized guns and gear. Borderlands, the first one at least, has 126 missions. 46 of these are main missions, while the other 80 are side missions. Now let's assume you get a static gun that's planned out as a mission reward for every mission you beat. That's 126 static guns. Now, some missions will give you the option between a gun and a piece of gear, both these being static to what the mission is. So let's assume you had 2 choices every mission. 126 times 2 would be 252. So that's 252 guns and equipment that's static in game that you could choose from. Gearbox has stated in Borderlands, the first one at least, that there's at least a minimum of 17,750,000 guns. That means that the static guns are 0.0014% of all guns in the game. Now, call me what you will, but I'm gonna go with the odds that one of those 17 million guns are gonna be better than the static things in this game. The Borderlands story is pretty short but sweet at the same time. Now, I'm an idiot and I didn't record the actual intro of this game, so I'll sum up the characters and the basic of the plot. Now, when you start the game, you got 4 characters to choose from. You got Mordecai. He's kind of like your back range sniper who has an eagle called Bloodwing, which you can throw out and he helps you. There's Lilith the Siren, who's kind of just like a ghost person in a weird way. I don't really know how to describe sirens in this game. There's Brick, the big tough guy who kind of just runs around and punches everything, and punching everything seems to be his only solution. And then there's everybody's main character, practically Roland, an ex-Crimson Lance soldier who's just essentially your Call of Duty pew-pew gun guy. You pick one of these 4 characters and go to a planet called Pandora in search of a vault, a crazy magical alien secret that holds a bunch of crazy technology that's super valuable. I really don't want to go into detail about the story of Borderlands 1 because I tend to want to describe an entire story if I'm describing it in a video, and that's why some of my videos take forever to make. Now, I do have over 20 hours of footage for this game, and damn it, I'm gonna use it. And a lot of the footage that you've been seeing up until this point has practically been the beginning of the game, and I'm gonna do my best to do this game justice. So I guess buckle up, kids. This started as a review, but we're going all in. Now, they call this the Game of the Year edition. We all know it's a remaster. They're just not calling it remastered. So let's talk quality of life improvements. You like mud graphics? Look at these mud graphics. Now let's just slide this sucker over to the remaster. Oh yeah, look at that gun. Seriously though, this game looks a hell of a lot better, like 10 times better, and there's a lot of little features such as improved lighting and whatnot. I went back to play the original not too long ago, and its controls felt a little too stiff and it kinda didn't age well, so I turned away from that and just, continued to play 2. The remastered controls though feel so much more fluent. The higher frame rate, the less stiff controls, it just feels so good. It feels just like Borderlands 2, and that is excellent. And you get a mini map as well, and that's so good. Now I know where I'm going and I don't have to feel like I'm aimlessly wandering all over the place. So thank you, Gearbox. Thank you. Except for you, Randy. You know what you did. And they even changed the look of Angel. And I've heard a lot of complaints about her new digitized appearance, but personally, I like it a hell of a lot more than the thing that would flash on the screen before. They even redid her appearance in Borderlands 2 if you download the 4K texture pack. Now maybe they patched in her new appearance, but I have the new texture pack and her new look is there. So maybe you don't have to download it. I don't fucking know. The point is, this game looks good. It looks really good. Thank you. Not you. Now, for how much I want to kiss this game's ass, it's not a perfect game by any means. Because if I have to say there's any flaws in this game, there is one major flaw. The multiplayer is really busted. Not wanting to have as much trouble as I was having, I decided to go on the Xbox group finder to see who else was playing this. Luckily, I found someone named Salty Fang. Thank God. While that might not seem like a problem, we suffered from a constant disconnect issue for about 2 days. It was so bad that it somehow would mess up the Xbox Live party chat and just boot me to the main menu non-stop. This issue would constantly desync our story progress, and we'd have to go into each other's games to catch ourselves up on the other person's story. It was so much of an issue that honestly, it defeated us at times to the point where we quit playing and would come back hours later. I do believe there is a patch out now that fixed this, along with some other issues that I have, but I experienced these issues, so why not complain about them? Oh, and the match browser feature? I mean, you want to know why all these people are 1 out of 4? It doesn't work. Or at least it didn't for me. I guess they patched it later, but the point is, it's forever after this thing came out, and it might work now, but it didn't work when it launched, and that is really shitty. The game is a 4-player multiplayer experience looter shooter. And when you can't have more than one person without having connection issues or not being able to connect at all, that's a problem. Until this day, Borderlands 2 suffers about the same issue. That game is fantastic, but its netcode sucks. But nonetheless, me and Salty Fang managed to push on for 2 days of connection issues, maybe 3, and we pushed through this game. So if you like RPG mechanics, great shooting, Diablo-style loot drops, then Borderlands is probably a game for you. It's pretty lengthy for what it is, being the first game. And I mean that, because it doesn't come anywhere close to how long the second one is. Not that that's a bad thing, because you'll be spending tons of hours in this game if you're going to complete every side quest and mission. And trust me, there is a lot of them. But all good things must come to an end. And I mean that in a few ways. For as we got to the ending, Salty Fang had to leave for work. So I'm telling you now, if you don't want to know the ending to Borderlands or any of the extra stuff, leave the video now. Well, Salty might be gone, that didn't stop me from sprinting across the land through every single mini boss alien creature and sprinting all the way to the vault at the very top of the mountain. And that's where we got to the final boss, Commander Steel. Nah, I'm just kidding with you. It's a big-ass monster. This is the Destroyer. He's the monster of the vault. Most vaults, as far as I'm aware in Borderlands lore, all have monsters inside of them. And in order to get to the loot inside the vault, you have to kill said big-ass monster. Now, to kill this thing, the strategy is easy. Run behind this pillar and shoot it in the eye. When this game originally came out, this vault monster was a big-ass pushover, so they decided to amp things up, so we should say. And how they did that was adding these flying-ass things that come out of the monster and attack you. And it absolutely made no difference this monster is still a pushover. Because the only purpose these flying things have to come out of the monster do is to give you free revives. Seriously, every time you're down, shoot into the air and kill one of them. Boom, you're back on your feet and you can continue killing the monster. But when it's all said and done, monster destroyed, you saved Pandora, and you get a crap ton of loot in the end. Oh, and you figure out that Angel's a satellite, but don't worry about that till later. But wait, there's more! Did you honestly think I'd forget about the DLC? Nope. Filmed all that too. Might as well say something about it. Number 1 is Mad Moxie's Underdome Riot. Now, this one is pretty simple to be honest. It's the most bare bones DLC that they have. You pretty much just go, choose an arena, and then fight through waves of enemies until you get to the very end. When this DLC first came out, I absolutely loved it, but playing it now, I think it's absolutely the worst DLC they've added into this game. The only way you're going to advance in this DLC's missions is if you get through every single wave of every single arena. And doing one arena is probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half long, depending on how you do and how many people you play with. And if you think, oh, just level up, play the game on normal, and come back and absolutely decimate this arena. Nope, because every time you come to the arena, the enemies scale to your level. So it's going to be as equally long and challenging no matter how high you are, because the enemies will always be slightly higher level than you. And the arena footage you've been seeing this entire time is only the first arena, so you can imagine how much of a slog and a pain in the ass this DLC can be. And if you're wondering, no, this is the only DLC I did not actually go out of my way to beat. But I did beat the first arena, so I got a certificate of badassery from Moxie herself, and I can live with that. Number 2 is the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned. Now this one's kind of like a B-movie, tropey, zombie DLC. I mean, the Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, if the name doesn't give it away, then I don't know. This is honestly the first big DLC in Borderlands 1. And if you're a zombie fan like I am, you're probably going to enjoy it. And it also helps the fact that how corny this DLC is sometimes. It makes it even more enjoyable.
I made the zombies. I was never as good as my totally not made up brother Zed, and we're totally different people. I need a drink.
So your objective in this one is to find Dr. Ned and stop the zombie outbreak infesting the island. When the game originally came out, I didn't have the zombie DLC. I only had General Knox and Mad Moxie's Underdome. So 2 of these 4 DLCs I had not played until this collection. And I gotta say, the zombie DLC was probably my favorite one out of all of them. I really didn't have too many issues with it. I thought, you know, the zombies and how corny it was enjoyable. And I don't really have too many complaints about this DLC, to be honest. It was nice, it was awesome, the scenery was cool, the music's alright. And yeah, so no really complaints about this one. And it had a pretty sweet boss battle at the end against Dr. Ned. You'd think he would be a pushover, and I thought he kind of was at first, but there's a little surprise I don't want to ruin if you want to play it for yourself. So, Yeah, go and fight him. It's pretty neat. Number 3 is the Armory of General Knox. To sum up the story of this one, General Knox follows the assassin Athena, and she's captured and in prison, and your job is to go and save her, and along the way discover the legendary armory itself. This is probably one of my favorite moments in Borderlands 1, but there's a lot of pros and cons to it. Maybe more pros than there are cons though. But if I had to bring up my biggest issue with General Knox right off the bat, it would have to be how sluggish it feels. A lot of General Knox is driving on a highway back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. There's a part of the game called T-Bone Junction, and that's where all your stores are at and where you spawn your vehicles. And that's about the midpoint of the DLC, while your missions will take place far north or far south, and you just have to drive one direction or the other, or both in some cases. It's a pain in the ass. But some of the upsides to General Knox are completely amazing. For instance, this is the first DLC to introduce pearlescent guns. Pearlescent guns are the rarest guns in Borderlands 1. 10 years ago when this game first came out, me and my buddy would spend so many hours trying to farm for a pearlescent gun, running General Knox Armory over and over and over again, not being able to get it, and one day, he opens a garbage can and it randomly spawns in the trash. Blew my mind. It was absolutely amazing. And that makes General Knox, like, that's one of my memorable moments about this DLC when it first came out 10 years ago. And General Knox is something special to me. Not only did it give us pearlescent guns, it also gave us Cromarax the Invincible, a beast of legends. You either had to be really good at this game, fight with a team of pros, or do what most people did and just glitch the game to kill it. This thing is so tough that to me, I feel like if you don't fight it legitimately, then you ain't shit. And Cromarax has always left an impression on me to a high degree, and it's insane. And if you're looking to farm pearlescent guns, Cromarax is probably the best way to do it. But good luck killing him legitimately if you're trying. But after freeing Athena and defeating General Knox, you get one of the best parts of this DLC, if not the best part, the Armory of General Knox. See what I did there? During one of the final missions, if not the final mission of General Knox's armory, you have to blow the armory up so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. But you have a 3-minute timer before the bomb explodes, and within this 3 minutes, you can run around and grab as many guns as you can. Or you could take the route a lot of people did when they figured this out and glitch underneath the armory before setting the bomb, and you have as much time as you want to clear out the entire armory over and over and over again. But aside from all the driving around you're gonna have to do in this DLC, it is one of the most excellent DLCs that they have ever released for Borderlands 1. At the end of Borderlands 1, Claptrap is hit by a beam from a satellite, turning him to an assassin who's ready to kill the Vault Hunter. And that leads us into our final DLC. Number 4, Claptrap's New Robot Revolution, the final DLC for Borderlands 1. And when I first heard about this, I heard a lot of disappointment, but honestly, going through, it wasn't too bad. As stated before, Claptrap is now an assassin ready to kill the Vault Hunter, so you have to do everything within your power to stop Claptrap and his new robot army. This DLC is definitely the big shebang for Borderlands 1 in terms of going out. Not only is it lengthy, it doesn't feel sluggish at all. It feels like you're always hitting the right paces. You always keep moving. Not only do you get to kill Claptrap units, which I'm sure a lot of people love to do, but it has one of the craziest sections ever in a Borderlands game. A boss gauntlet, where you get to fight the bosses of the main game and DLCs in a row. These bosses include Dr. Ned, General Knox, Commander Steele, and not only once, but twice you have to fight them. And at the end of it all, you get to fight Claptrap and his big-ass robot that he summoned to kill you. If you managed to do all that, then congratulations, you've done everything in Borderlands, not counting side quests, that is. Reset Claptrap back to normal, get your loot, and you're done. But if I had to say anything negative about the Claptrap DLC, is this maze cave area that took me probably around an hour to figure out where the hell I was going. And it was an absolute mess. That's the only thing that took away from this DLC. It was one of the worst things ever built in Borderlands 1 is this cave. It's a monstrosity. But besides that, if I had to rank, you know, the main game and the DLCs together in order, I would probably rate them as 1, the main game, 2, Dr. Ned's Zombie Island, 3, Claptrap's Robot Army DLC, 4, General Knox, and 5, Mad Moxie being the absolute worst DLC. I would put General Knox above the Claptrap DLC, but all that driving is so obnoxious to me that I couldn't stand it. And Mad Moxie's DLC being the worst because it is the most repetitive and slow DLC that probably rewards you with the least experience. But at the end of it all, with patches included for the current day version of this game, it's not a bad game. It definitely has its flaws. But Borderlands, to me, still holds up as one of the best shooters I've ever played in my life. And we're not even talking about its sequel, so that's saying something, because that's even better. I'd say pick it up. It's only $30, and patches are out now that fix a lot of the issues I talked about. Besides the cave and the driving parts in the DLC, it doesn't really fix those. Those are just part of the game. And I really enjoyed Borderlands 1 still. And it's awesome to revisit it. It's a great time with friends, especially if your connection holds up since they patched all that, or supposedly patched it. I give Borderlands my approval, but, you know, go try it yourself or go see if a friend has it and try it from them. Anyway, yeah. Time to start New Game Plus. Hey, what's up everybody? It's Demo. Thank you if you watched this whole video. This has honestly been like 2 months of work to cram into 20 minutes because I had so much stuff to do. I made a whole new album, music-wise anyway. If you don't know, I do that. And that's what took this video so long to make. I've been working on it since the game came out. Special shout out to Salty Fang for helping me beat Borderlands 1 and its DLCs and helping me with all of that. If you would like to support, please, please, please check out my Patreon down in the description below, or join the Discord, same in the description below. It would help out a ton. I'm glad whoever sticks around and watches these videos. Hello to all the new subscribers that I've been neglecting. And thank you once again for watching. I will talk to you guys later with some new content. And bye-bye.